Okay, so let's move on to the substantial topic. The first substantial topic that we are talking about will be on globalizations. For globalizations, there should be three main units that you need to study. The first one is economic globalizations, secondly is about cultural globalizations, and finally, the international world's response towards the phenomenon of globalizations. So today we will be focusing on economic globalization first. So by definitions, when you but one thing before that, when you look at these clips, I expect you to have your concept looks ready on it at hand, because I will be referring to the reference pages occasionally, and then you can mark down some notes when you are listening to these videos clips. Okay, what is globalizations? This is from the first page of your concept notes. Wow，成段咁大段嘢，要點樣啊？背晒佢使唔使啊？唔需要，OK？I don't think this is necessary for you to recite the entire piece. What you need to do is to understand the concept. So if we break these long paragraphs into shorter points, this will be easier for you to understand. 嗱，睇下點樣啦。So globalizations, this is actually referring to situations, okay? And then what kinds of situations? The time and space constraints between countries and regions, they have been diminished. Diminished means they are disappearing, okay? Time and space constraints, they are disappearing. So this is the first meaning of globalization. But more than that, different people, different groups, different countries, they are more mutually influential with each others, and they are having high dependence on each other. So basically, for globalizations, the meaning is including these three key ideas. Okay, so now let's move on to the concept looks. If you have your concept looks, you refer to page 1 to 4. First, for economic globalizations. Basically, there are four features. The first one, breaking time and space constraints. Secondly, disappearing borders. Thirdly, high mobilities. And lastly, there are more interactions and exchange between different countries and peoples of different areas. Now let's look at the details one after one. When we talk about breaking time and space constraints, we're referring to the phenomenon that the transportation time is getting shorter and shorter because of the more advanced transportation technology. And on the other hand, we are having better information and communication technologies, so that the people no longer need to rely on the physical delivery of letters or physically appearing in other countries for communications. They can use email, they can use a lot of instantaneous communication tools like WhatsApp, IG, Facebook, all sorts of these softwares allows them to communicate with other people disregarding of their locations and the time. Secondly, this is talking about disappearing borders. When talking about disappearing borders, we are referring to the phenomenon that the people are traveling to different countries more frequently, and then this lead to more cultural exchange. And other than that, economic activities across the border are even more. Many of the companies, they are having their productions in the less developed countries. At the same time, their sales of products are available all over the world, especially in the MDCs, more developed countries. And because of the disappearing border, the government or the international organizations, they are taking a more important role. Okay, international organizations, short form IO, one of the important concepts you need to learn about in DSE. Other than that, higher mobility. High mobilities in several sense. First one, capital flow. Where can the company get their money from? Their money other than from the local investor. Many of the capital for some business projects, they are raising from different parts of the world through the stock market. Mobility is also high in labor flow. Okay, many of the companies, they have outsourced the labor intensive task to the LDCs, and there are many multinational corporations other than outsourcing the labor intensive or the cheaper tasks to the LDCs to lower the production costs. At the same time, they are recruiting talents or recruiting expertise from the more developed countries so that they can have better exchange of ideas or technology. And one more important features about globalization is the increasing interactions and exchange of people. More tourists, more travels, more overseas work, or more exchange students. Definitely, this will be leading to more cultural exchange. And for global issues, many of the issues we found that they are more influential on other countries, such as global warming. When we are having global warming, no single countries can solve it themselves. Or I give you another example, the Wuhan coronavirus spread. This can be easily transported to spread to other countries through the easy transportations. Definitely, the Chinese government cannot solve it only by themselves. They need the cooperation of other countries as well. So many under globalizations, many issues in the past, this only their local issues. But now it becomes global issues. So what are the factors driving globalizations? If you have your concept looks, then you can turn to that table. I will just follow the order of the table in your concept looks. So we have more advanced technology. The transportation cost is much cheaper, especially by plane or by ship. Secondly is the prevalence of internet. The people, even if they don't travel to other countries, they can share the information or spread the messages through the use of internet or instant communication tools. I provide you a case study, the Wuhan coronavirus case. Because of the easy transportation and cheaper transportations, there are more tourists and there are more people going to different places to work between China and other countries. So this will be leading to a global spread of disease or other spread of disease. In case when the disease is really serious inside the countries, the people they will go to other places or to compete for medical resources. Either they physically get there or they may order it online, like the face mask. And as a result, this will be leading to a global public health issues. Okay, the disease originating in China because of the people competing for medical resources in nearby regions like Taiwan, Korea. Then the people of other places also runs out of stocks, and then other governments they have to think of way to cope with these changing situations. Okay, global public health issues. Okay, and another example from this case, Chinese governments can they block the information completely? No, because we have the internet. The people can use VPN, or they may be using WeChat or whatever instant communication tools to communicate with the overseas world. So this would be even harder for the governments to cover up issues. Okay, for example, some of the people they have live broadcasts of the situations in some Wuhan hospital or the streets. And when the people know about this, before the issues become totally out of control, other governments they may take prompt actions, okay, from the other government as well. So advancement in technology is one driven factors for globalizations. And in other factors, developments of the MNCs. Still remember the meaning of MNCs? Multinational corporations. By outsourcing some of the tasks, the low production tasks, to the LDCs, less developed countries, they can lower their costs. Okay? At the same time, they can expand their sales network around the globe. But the sales network usually they are at the MDCs because the people there they have higher purchasing power, higher affordability, and in the MDCs they are one key idea that is spreading there is consumerism. Alright? And with the MNCs they have also some international logistic chain. Give you some example. For example, the sports brands, many of the sports brands like Nike, Adidas, they have their production line as the LDCs because the materials they are cheaper, labor are cheaper, and then they also have less stringent law on energy or on environmental protections, so that the cost for each of the products can be minimized. At the same time, they are selling their products all over the world depending on the market potential. Another example, Watsons. Watsons, owned by Li Ka-shing, is one of the largest chain store on pharmaceutical products in the world. So a few days ago, Hong Kong we are running short of face masks. So they can immediately allocate stocks from other parts of the world. So this is illustrations of the second factors. Thirdly, emergence of some global issues. Okay, global issues becomes more influential in scale, and then when the countries try to cope with these global issues, they have to exchange ideas and information flow from other people. Okay, example, Ebola virus. First, it appears in the African regions, and because of the frequent travels of the residents or the workers or the employers or the tourists, then they quickly spread to different parts of the world. So you see, this go back to the first features, more influential in scale, and then they can only be solved under international collaborations. And secondly, the LDCs, they are so poor, so they don't have enough resources and technologies to cure the disease. So USA, as well as other MDCs, they develop medicines to cure the disease. So under globalizations, because they want to keep themselves safe, all the countries have to cooperate with each other, and then they facilitate this can actually encourage exchange of ideas and information flow. And finally, the development of some international organizations. Because many of the issues in the past is local, now this would be turned into a global one very soon. So this lead to the formations of more platform, okay, between the countries to exchange informations or to strengthen cooperations. So this concept we call it global governance. And secondly, those international organizations that often like the World Funds, they will be having a number of campaigns to raise the people's awareness towards global issues. Okay, and by raising the people's global issues, the people will be more aware of certain issues, and then they will be building their sense of identity as a global citizens. Okay, so these are the features and factors driving globalizations. You can read the details in your concept notes. And before we leave for today, I recommend you to try the past paper year 2019 paper 2 question 3a. And then tomorrow we'll be reviewing the answer of that questions, and we will be carrying on with economic globalizations. So if you have the time, after finish reviewing the key concept for today, then you go to the concept logs, okay, for page 6 to 14, so that tomorrow you can be easier follow our flow. So if you have finished the past paper, if you wish, email me or send me. We'll look at the answer tomorrow. That's all for today.